The best relationships are built on faithfulness and trust. You have to have those too, or you're going to have a lot of trouble. So what they would mean, all those different things, I'm going to love you, only you, I'm not going to run around and all that, right? So the same thing with God. Throughout the Bible, if you read the Old Testament, you see it a lot. God speaking to his people, and he's constantly referring to their relationship, right? As a relationship. You're cheating on me, pretty much, is what God said. Whenever the Israelites, the Jewish people, whenever they were talking to God, right, and they started getting persuaded to do evil, they began to get off track. So they were tricked, really, by their own evil desires to be pulled away from God. He saw that whenever they began to worship false gods, and they began to, a lot of stuff in the Bible is pretty wild stuff. They began to sacrifice their family members, their children. They began to cut themselves. They began to do all that stuff. You read the Old Testament and you're confused about why God's so strict. It's because they went away from God and they were following false gods, which false gods are actually fallen angels, demons, principalities that we're at war with. And they trick people, and then it's one consistent flow is sacrifice. They want you to sacrifice to them. They always want life. If you follow along enough, they'll eventually ask you for sacrifice of human life. That's what happens with false gods. Our God, the true God, the living God, the one true Almighty, said, I'm not going to ask you for a sacrifice. I'm going to come sacrifice myself for you. And I just want to rehash and remind you that the fruit of the Spirit is only able to grow while you're in the Spirit, while you're walking in the Spirit, while you're living in the Spirit, while you're dwelling with God and you're following God. It's not going to be while you're chasing whoever and you're going into clubs and you're falling back into sin and all that. That's not when you're growing. When you're growing is when you're diligently seeking God, trusting God, and relying on Him.